Now, Social Development Minister Lindiwe Zulu has launched the annual Child Protection Week campaign. The campaign is aimed at ensuring that the most vulnerable do not suffer abuse. The campaign will run from today to the 4th of June. The Minister now joins me to talk more on this. Good evening to you, Minister. Thank you very much for your time. We do appreciate it. You've officially launched the Child Protection Week campaign under the theme, Let Us Protect Children During COVID-19 and Beyond. I just want to expand on that particular theme and why it was themed in that way. A lot of people are of the view that children have other issues that could be the focus other than COVID-19.
Well, the end of the theme talks to us protecting children beyond COVID-19. And that, of course, we decided on the theme at the time when COVID was at its highest. And we still know that some remnants of COVID-19 is still there, albeit not affecting communities and children as it used to affect them in the past. It was for this reason that we said it's COVID-19 at the time and beyond COVID-19. Now, beyond COVID-19 covers us even before COVID-19 to the effects and facts that children have been affected by a number of other issues in our communities. They've been affected by security in our communities. They've been affected by underdevelopment. They've been affected by unemployment of their parents. They've been affected by a number of issues. But however, what I would like to say upfront is that as a Department of Social Development, responsible for the well-being of children across the board in South Africa, ensuring that proper legislation, proper implementation of the constitutional provisions are in place. And therefore, as a Department of Social Development, we are saying all other departments are very important to the protection of children, whether it is health, whether it is education, whether it's any other department are very important for ensuring that there's protection of our children.
Definitely. Minister, you had, as a part of the run-up to the campaign, there were dialogues with various children where your department asked them what are some of the issues that you would like to see change. And what I found interesting is that a large number of those kids said that they want their parents to seek counseling and emotional support because they want a positive parenting environment with no violence. So parents need to play a huge role here in that sort of support.
Yes, actually, it was very exciting that children themselves were able to pick up this particular issue. And this is an issue which many a times in communities is undermined by the fact that community parents in different communities still use things like beating up children if they feel like the children are not obedient. You also find that children, even in schools, they find themselves being beaten up by teachers, but in schools it's even beyond that. When you have the girl child in particular being abused, sexually abused in some instances by teachers who are supposed to protect them. The reason why we wanted to have this dialogue, and the dialogue must be centered around the children speaking for themselves, it is because we know in today's world, children are very vocal. Children already know what they want. Children know that there's a constitution in South Africa that covers them. Children actually know that they have rights because not only the Department of Social Development, but health and Department of Education, both basic and higher education, have been running programs in the schools of making the children aware of their own rights. So the fact that we are enabling children to speak up is something that must be embraced by South African societies, house to house, street to street, community to community, because we need to listen to what the children say because they know exactly what they feel. They know exactly the challenges that they face in the homes, on the streets, in schools and everywhere. It's time we listen to the children because we must give them that voice. And the Department of Social Development is giving the children that voice, but giving them the voice without also talking to the parents might be meaningless, because the children will raise these issues with us as a department from national, provincial, and local structures. Our target should be 1, the parents; 2, caregivers; 3, society and communities overall, to protect children.
Definitely. Minister, I just want to change gears and talk on the issue of child labour. I read a very shocking stat that said 70% of child labour happens in the agricultural sector and in the farming sector. How do we curb these sort of instances, and how do we make sure that the repercussions for these instances speak loud enough to cause people not to continue?
Let's start from here. The child labor is illegal in South Africa. Anyone who is found to be employing children when children are supposed to be at school, when children are supposed to be at play, it is the communities that have to report those people who are employing children. But at the same time, we must also be very conscious of the fact that in many instances, the parents and people that are around those children might not necessarily report the cases, especially in the farms, if I may indicate this one. They will not report the child labor there because they are also afraid of their own jobs. They are also afraid of their own situation. What is important here is to get everyone to first and foremost appreciate the importance that children must be, they must remain children, and therefore they must be assisted both in the home, both at schools and everywhere. It is society that needs to protect children. When people do not report about this kind of abuse, it is a problem for us as a department. That is why we are going all out as a department to advocate, firstly within all government departments, to say the rights of children must be respected, the rights of children must be protected. But this cannot be protected by the Department of Social Development alone, because as a department, from a legislative point of view, it's our responsibility to make sure that we pass the right policies, we develop the right policies, we develop the right legislative framework. But the legislative framework on its own cannot protect children. That is why our focus is to say to the communities, take responsibility and be aware of what is happening among the children. Neighbors in many instances know when children are being abused. People on the streets know which of the families you find children who are not being fed properly, children who are struggling. The neighbors know that. But even in the schools, the teachers know, they can see when the children are in class that some children are alert, some children are sleeping in class. It should be the responsibility of the schools, the teachers, and all caregivers to make sure that what we develop as a policy is implemented where children are.
Definitely. Minister, I think let's leave it there for now. Thank you very much for your time and for sharing these details with us. We appreciate it. That was the Social Development Minister Lindiwe Zulu, just speaking on the official launch of Child Protection Week, which officially starts tomorrow, as it was launched earlier today.